What does loving your neighbor actually look like? This is Journey with Care, where curious Canadians get inspired to love others well through real-life stories and honest conversations. I think the thing you're most excited about is me being on. You don't have to do all the intros.
Which is my first three words.
So if you don't know what we're talking about here, I'm Johan here, on with Wendi, on with the Journey with Care podcast. And I'm going to be joining as more of a presence on the podcast as a secondary host.
I'm so looking forward to it. Yes. And if you caught those first few banters, I often have a hard time starting my intros, and you've been coaching me on how to do podcasting. And so I'm glad that you're on this side of the mic now.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit more fun just to have another perspective, and maybe I can bring Wendi down sometimes when she's on with a guest and, she takes over, that sort of thing. So,
good luck with that.
Yeah. You might have noticed that we are calling this series JeoPARTY. We want to do something a little bit lighter because we've had some heavy topics and we got some heavy topics coming. And because I'm jumping on as a secondary host for more episodes, it's not going to be every episode. Sometimes one of us will be away, but for more episodes, we want to just give our listeners an opportunity to get to know us a little bit better, being able to connect with us as hosts. And along with that, we created this group forum on our website for our listeners to come on and chat with us, ask questions, get to know other listeners and have those conversations. So you can already check that out and join that group discussion at journeywithcare.ca. That is up and running, and we're excited about that. So,
yeah, I really hope people jump on that, because we do listen to our listeners. We do read every comment that they write, and I'm looking forward to maybe getting some of the questions that some of you in the audience are listening to and might have for us. It's going to be good.
And just to make it a little bit more spiritual, Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, Wendi, one can help the other up.
I fell yesterday, and where were you? You weren't being very spiritual. I tripped on my stairs.
But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. So we got each other to help each other up.
I felt sorry for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's often used, misquoted for a wedding text. I'm glad that we are both happily married to different people, but it is important that we work together. And I'm a little nervous, actually, because we haven't rehearsed this, haven't seen each other's questions. So this Jeopardy game you're going to get the authentic us.
Yeah, and back to the group discussion, it's called the Sojourners Group. That's what we've called it. So if you join the group, you are an official Sojourner of Journey with Care. Anyway, we're going to be splitting this up into 3 episodes. It's going to go back and forth for the first 2 episodes, questions that Wendi and I have prepared for each other without knowing the questions in advance. And then for the 3rd episode, this is where our listeners come in. We need you to submit questions. It could be for us personally. It could be fun questions. It could be for CareImpact. It could be about the podcast, previous conversations, anything that's just been bothering you, or you just want to know a little bit more about us. You can submit those questions in the Sojourners group, or we also have a link on our website again to submit questions for that specific episode. But you need to have your questions in before April 13th, 2024, dating the podcast here. But please submit those questions so that we have something to talk about in the 3rd episode, and it should be fun. All right, we are going to move into our back and forth discussion. First of all, maybe we should just introduce ourselves. Maybe some people don't even know a little bit about us. I mean, Wendi probably a little bit more because she's been on the podcast and kind of throwing tidbits here and there on her conversation. So you might already have a bit of a connection to Wendi. I've been on for a few episodes. You would have learned about my daughter, Danica. We did a series of 3 episodes there. So yeah, I have 4 kids. I have a son who's 17, almost 18, graduating this year. My daughter is turning 16. She's 15. And a son who's turning 14, who's 13. So yeah, everybody turns a year older every year. So
You too, hey?
Yeah. But they all have birthdays coming up. And my wife, we've been married for 21 years. And, Yeah.
Oh, you beat us.
My wife, Corey, she hasn't been on the podcast yet, but yeah, maybe someday.
We're going to have to get her on here sometime. I would love to get her story. Yeah, for my family, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Wendi Park, and I'm the co-founder for CareImpact along with my husband, Harold. He has been on the podcast once before. So he and I started CareImpact out of just a love for the church and for our community and across Canada, seeing the church in community. But we have a bustling family we're 10 people altogether. I have 6 kids. Most of them older. The youngest is like still a teenager and up, and 2 grandkids. We live here in Winnipeg on Treaty 1 territory. And what else is there to know about me, Johan? I guess they're going to find out in this game. I don't know what kind of questions you've asked me.
I didn't even say what I do at CareImpact or anything. I mean, I've been there for, a year and a half now, I think.
Yeah.
Just over that. I'm producing the podcast. With CareImpact, I am the content development specialist for the last year and a half, helping work on the LMS, the learning and equipping online, creating the school, which I've done in my previous employment where I built up an internship and our school and our online classes and all that sort of thing, which I'm bringing into CareImpact. So let's get into our Jeopardy party. JeoPARTY.
All right, let's do this. Okay, well, I think we should probably explain the 4 categories for today. So it's not like classic Jeopardy. We're going to ask the question and the other person's going to answer. These are questions that we haven't shared with each other. But there's 4 categories from 100 to 500 value and easy to harder. The first category is fun and whimsy. The second category is faith and purpose. And the third category is would you rather? And the fourth category is learning. And so I'm going to maybe turn it over to Johan. You can choose your first category for whichever dollar amount that you want.
All right, let's go. Let's just start with something fun. Let's go fun and whimsy for 300.
All right, let me reveal this because I have not seen it. So Johan, fun and whimsy for 300. Can you share a guilty pleasure TV show or movie that you enjoy?
Well, I have to say I love the Indiana Jones movies. Ever since I was a little kid, it's always fed that adventure part of me and my love for history. So growing up, I loved history. I was on the search for the Ark of the Covenant with my head in books because of Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I love that stuff.
Okay.
And The Office.
Oh, good to know. And The Office, you said. I have still not watched that series. It just bores me.
Wendi, what's your first one you want to pick here?
Okay, I'm going to get spiritual here. I'm going to do faith and purpose for 100, please.
How do you define living life on purpose? That's a deep one.
Oh, sheesh. That should be a $500 one. How do you define living life on purpose? Okay, you're going to cut out the silence, right? This is a hard one. Well, when I think of life on purpose, I think of intentionality. Are we just letting life slip through our fingers, or are we going to actually do some things? And so for me, living life on purpose is being intentional about what I do, even doing hard things, whether that's learning or traveling or saying goodbyes or having new hellos. I think that to me is living life on purpose. And it also has to do with knowing who I am and who I am becoming and who God has created me to be and aligning those choices to that.
We'll go with that.
Okay.
If our listeners have more questions on that specifically, journeywithcare.ca, and you'll get that in the 3rd episode.
All right.
Let's go with learning for 200.
I'm teaching you a really complicated board game. So if you had to choose between reading the instructions, listening to the instructions, watching me play it, or doing it, simply playing it, how would you learn best?
This one hits close to home because I have family members that love board games. And explaining complicated board games to me makes me want to run and hide. I usually need warning ahead of time so I can go on YouTube and watch how the game is played. So I would have to say watching and then also just getting on with it, playing this chitter chatter.
Yeah.
None of that. Let's get at her. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. You taught me a board game at our last staff retreat, and I learned by doing, actually.
I don't think you liked that game, though. It wasn't black and white
No,
for you.
I did. I did because it challenged me. Dixit.
Dixit. Yeah.
Was the game. And I actually bought that game for my family for Christmas. So it just took me a little while to warm up to it. It was way too whimsical for me and abstract, but I'm willing to learn new things.
My wife hates that game.
Oh, well, we don't play it anymore for that matter, but all right, I'm going to go for Would You Rather for 300, please.
Would you rather engage in a deep theological discussion or participate in vibrant worship?
Well, I do like good worship music and being in a service where there's good worship in that way. But I am going to lean towards theological discussion any day. It depends, though, who I'm talking with. But I do enjoy theology. I do discussing things, not just for the cerebral exercise, but I could even be devil's advocate in challenging where we go with our discussion and understanding the depths of God. I think there's always a mystery there that intrigues me. So, yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards the theological discussion.
All right.
I bet you would do the music because you're a musician.
I really enjoy a good theological discussion. Me and my son go on walks and we duke it out all the time, talking about theology and videos we've watched on theology. We love that stuff. As far as worship, yeah, I'm a worship leader too, but theology is great. You can't have good worship without good theology. So,
what I don't enjoy about theological discussions is if we're just really rigid on when we say theology, are we talking just white theology? Because that's often what we reduce it to. Or are we looking at liberation theology and all these other different ways and perspectives and worldviews? That's what intrigues me because that's what challenges me to get out of my white box and encompass more ways of looking at who God is and what the Bible says. So that's what I mean by theology, not just Western theology.
All right, I'm going to try a Would You Rather for 400.
All right. Would you rather retire early and enjoy life on the beach or work as long as you possibly can in what you love to do?
Definitely the second one. I don't even enjoy the beach. And maybe I don't know how much I have set aside for retirement anyway, so that's not really an option.
You did sign your life away with CareImpact, I hope.
If you want to support our work, CareImpact.ca.
There we go. Shameless plug here. Okay, I'm going to go fun and whimsy for 100.
All right. If you were a superhero, what would your superpower be?
Oh, goodness. Now I'm going to reveal some of my childhood upbringing. I was very sheltered and I didn't really watch TV or really get into it even when I could.
You can invent one.
Oh, I like inventing. Okay, so I think I would love to I'm a networker, and there's a lot of times where I'd like to be many places at once because I get FOMO. I like to be at a lot of places, not because I feel like I need to be at all those places, but I want to. I love networking and being part of some of the things that are happening across Canada. And I do like a good travel too, so I'd love to jump all over the globe. So yeah, that's my answer.
And when I look at your calendar, it sometimes looks like you are omnipresent, so.
I try.
How is she in this city and this city all on the same day? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, I get around. I make it work.
All right, faith and purpose for 300.
Okay, let's see if you got an easier one. I kind of shied away after that one. You scared me after the first one. Okay, faith and purpose for 300. Can you share a favorite Bible verse or quote that resonates with you?
Ooh, I'll do a quote and a verse. My favorite quote is probably by Tozer, and most people know it. The first thing that comes to your mind when you think of God is the most important thing about you. That is my favorite quote by Tozer. And my favorite verse is actually an obscure one, which I've kind of run with for a few decades now. It's Amos 5:4, a part of it. It's simply, seek me and live. Seek the Lord and live. So,
ooh, I like that. Amos isn't usually the quotable that people come up with. So that you get an extra point for originality. All right, I'm going to go with faith and purpose for 200, please.
Can you recall a moment where your faith was tested and how did you overcome it? That's a deep one.
Well, I can recall many moments where my faith was tested and how I overcame it. Many of you will already know I'm an Enneagram 8 and I love a good challenge. And sometimes I walk into these challenges and those are the things that have tested me. But if you're wanting an example, well, there's many examples that I could think of, but I think my mind jumps to the time where my husband and I really heard from the Lord about quitting our jobs that we really loved in ministry. And many of you have heard this story before, but when you are in a place, and many other people might be able to identify, but when you're in a place where God invites you to let go of something that you actually really enjoy, that gives life and purpose, and yet He's called you into something deeper, that was a test of faith for me to not know what I was jumping into. It's not like we had CareImpact on the back burner, a glossy brochure in the making. We didn't know what it was that we were jumping into when traveling across Canada, just God chasing it and seeing what is this that we were to do, and seeing how God clearly revealed Himself through that. Not only that, but the practicality of giving up 2 incomes when you're raising a family. It took act of faith and just trusting in God. But I've learned through that. I've grown through that. And I often refer to it because now it gives me more boldness to do other crazy things. When God says it, He provides, and how He's been so faithful. Can you believe it? It's been 10 years since we've started this journey with CareImpact, and God has been so faithful in adding people to our team and in our resources. I just can't describe how faithful He has been, but I definitely was tested because Harold and I are not that type of spontaneous people to just simply do that. But
especially with the family. Yeah.
And it tests me actually now as I do a lot of fundraising and needing to bring in resources to add to our team. The faith journey for me right now is that it's not only my family on the line. I have other people's families that are dependent on, none of us are here, I don't think, for the money, but we are dependent on CareImpact flourishing so that we can provide for our family and do the work that God has called for us. So now I feel a different kind of weight as I look at how do I support and grow our team as we have more positions to come that need filling in. So I'm like, hey, you want this to happen. So we create the job description and the God stories that come out. You're one of those examples that really was a response to prayer, and you heard God's voice, and we keep growing that way.
Amen. All right, we haven't had any 500s yet, even though when I put these questions together, I didn't put them in any particular order of difficulty.
I can tell.
It's pretty random. But let's go fun and whimsy again. We'll go for 500.
Fun and whimsy for 500 it is. If you could swap lives with any fictional character for a day, who would it be?
Well, that is a hard one, though. I would say Indiana Jones, because it's my favorite movie.
Back to Indiana Jones. Yeah. He's a true inspiration.
But, I tried creating whips as a kid so I can swing from things, and it always ends a disaster. So, you try to swing and you fall on your back. It doesn't work the same way.
Well, I'm going to go for fun and whimsy for 200, please.
Ooh, I like this question. If you can only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, this is a great question. I have different genres of food, depending on who's the cook is maybe a curve in that answer. But I would have to say, if they were a good Mennonite cook, I would want vranekje and schmonfat for the rest of my life. Like, I could live on that. I would probably die sooner too because of a heart attack. But it would be vranekje, which is like Mennonite pierogies with the cottage cheese in there and then the cream gravy. Oh my goodness, I could eat that. If I was in Korea, it would be tolsup bibimbap. If I was in Ethiopia, it would be definitely injera and wat and a good cup of coffee. Yeah, depends which country, but right now I'm feeling the vranekje.
If that sounds good to our listeners, I think we still might have some recipe books out there available to make it.
True. My mom's recipe, she has it in the cookbook. Let me know.
All right, let's do Would You Rather for 100.
Would you rather for 100? Would you rather fundraise or speak at a conference?
Ooh, two things that I don't like doing.
Two things that I do.
Honestly, I think I'd rather speak at a conference. I don't like the stage very much, but maybe it's a control thing. I have control over what I say at a conference, but I don't have control on whether someone gives or donates. And convincing people is not a fun thing. It's just easier to speak your
and
heart.
I think fundraising, I feel a little more vulnerable there than if I'm speaking. I can be vulnerable from the stage, no problem, but fundraising, I think that's a Canadian thing too. It means that we need other people to join us, and there's it requires a dose of humility and I think there's good ways of doing it. You do fundraising, I do fundraising. But it's not easy when we ask for money. But we do want partnership for sure. It's my turn, right? So I'm going to do, would you rather for 200, please?
Would you rather participate in a lively Sunday church service or a quiet spiritual retreat in nature? That's an easy one.
Easy for you. See, I like the omnipresence. I'd want to do both. I do like both. But right now, I could definitely go for this quiet spiritual retreat in nature. I'm an extrovert, but I deeply love nature and just being in the quiet, maybe because I live in a lively household and networking with people all day. So right now I'm feeling the retreat in nature, definitely. Being by myself. Is that weird as an extrovert? I could really hermit. I did that for holidays this last year. I had a silent retreat in Cuba with loud Cuban music, but I was all by myself. It was wonderful. Okay, your turn, Johan. What's it going to be?
Let's keep it rolling. Learning for 400.
Okay, this is fun. A rich uncle just offered to pay for a learning experience. Okay, you should get him to support you. What is one thing that you would love to learn if he paid for it?
How to easily fundraise? No.
How to hire a fundraiser?
I mean, I've always wanted to take the podcast engineering course. I'm pretty good at what I do. I'm a professional.
You are a podcast engineer.
But if
you'd like to do more?
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I would say maybe business, because it's the business side of things which I'm kind of learning on my own. Mm-hmm. And with the enhancements with AI and all this stuff, you got to learn how to pivot in this business pretty quickly too. So probably running the business side of things. I mean, I only do it part-time as just to supplement my work at CareImpact, but it's still something I want to get better at. So,
okay, well, now that we're on the learning theme, I'm going to stick with that column as well. I'm going to do learning for 100, please.
What is one hobby you would love to learn to do?
Oh, gee, this is hard, actually, because my husband, Harold, always tells me I need to find a hobby. And I always tell him, well, CareImpact is my hobby. I love doing this. I wake up every day thinking, wow, I get to do this for a job. But this should be really a 500 question for me, because sometimes I don't see the point of a hobby. I'm not judging people who have them, but I think I'd like to learn how to fly a plane, actually. So if I had a hobby that I could go on a Saturday and just fly around somewhere, that would be really good. And that would be actually very practical too. See, every hobby has to have some practicality with me of it could get me places too, right? I could...
That's you wanting to be omnipresent.
Yeah. It's helping me towards this bigger goal. Yeah. So flying a plane.
All right. Faith and purpose for 400.
Can you share a moment when you felt a sense of fulfillment in living out your purpose?
Well, that should be 1,000. That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's a deep one.
I hope that's how I feel when I meet the Lord. That I fulfilled the purpose in bringing
Jesus
him glory.
Jesus is your answer?
Jesus is the answer.
I'm going to close off faith and purpose. We have one question left for 500. So faith and purpose for 500, please.
Who or what inspires you to keep going when things get tough? Besides Kathy.
Yes, she is an inspiration for me, doing all my admin, which is great. No, this one's easy, actually. Who or what inspires you? I would say the who inspires me to keep going, other than the obvious, Jesus, because he got me on this path to begin with. But I have to say the children in my life and those in my community who are in hard places, hands down, they inspire me to keep going when things get tough, because it's not easy helping the church and social services and all of these sectors work together and come up with a new way of moving forward and in connecting and equipping the church. Church can be a hard space sometimes to navigate in helping them being effective in community. And when things get really tough, I have to say, but who is this for? I have to say it's worth it when community is created and those that are marginalized or in hard places get supported, because we had some of those tough conversations, had those tough faith moments, and they're definitely worth it. That justice side of me goes, "Arr."
Awesome. Well, I think we're running out of time for this first episode, so we might just have to skip the rest of these questions, right? What do you think?
Well, we've got more questions for next episode, so let's save some of them. Absolutely.
Okay, so for next episode, our categories, we're going to do another Would You Rather. We'll do life reflections. We'll do questions on character and community and connection. So still some fun ones to come. Make sure you tune in next week to check those out. And again, go to our website, journeywithcare.ca. I think I'm going to put a big button on there or banner that says send in a question so that you can get those in before April 13th, I think we said, for that episode in a few weeks. So next week, we're going to do part 2 of this one, get to know us a little bit better. But before that, I want to do a rapid fire with you, Wendi. You can do a rapid fire with me next week.
For me?
But we'll...
Okay, fine. I'm on the hot seat.
So quick, really short answers. But here we go. Dogs, cats, or fish?
Dogs and cats. Can I say 2?
No, got to pick one.
Caramel and cappuccino, forgive me, but I'm going to choose cream, our dog.
Okay. Beach vacation or mountain retreat?
Mountain retreat.
Coffee or tea?
Definitely coffee.
A nod to the Enneagram. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, I would probably go with the dark chocolate with a tons of toppings and a little scoop of everything.
Early bird or night owl?
Both. Can I say both? Because I stay up late and I get up early. That's how I go.
You just don't sleep. Comedy or drama?
I'm going to go with drama because comedy isn't always very funny.
And you always say you don't like drama.
I don't like drama, but I like, you know what? I like Korean drama. Some of them.
Okay, that's weird.
I'm married to a Korean. He gives me my own K-drama.
Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles with my mom's white pudding sauce on top.
Also
Custard.
in the recipe book, I believe.
It's also in the recipe book. I'm a big fan of all her cooking.
Okay. Bacon or sausage?
They're both unhealthy, but if it's farmer sausage, I'm Mennonite through and through, so farmer sausage.
Favorite season of the year?
Summer.
Books or movies?
Books. I love my books. 5 at a time.
Would you rather travel to the past or the future?
Definitely the future. Past is history.
Sunrise or sunset?
I think a sunset.
Pizza. Pineapple or no pineapple?
I love pineapple on my pizza. I don't care if people judge me for it, but it tastes so good.
Sweet or savory snacks?
Both. If I had to choose, I probably would go towards the sweet in the chocolate ice cream area.
Would you rather have the ability to fly or be invisible? Superpowers again.
Fly. That'd be fun. It'd help me in my omnipresence.
Summer or Winter Olympics?
Yeah. I'm there for the food. Either is fine. I don't mind either. I do watch.
Okay. Camping or glamping?
Well, if it was just up to me, it would be camping. So I like to go camping with Janet, who's on our team, also my cousin, and we go camping. My family's not going even glamping. I tried that. So I'm going to stick with camping.
All right, last one. Would you rather have a rewind button or a pause button?
I would go with pause because I think we make good life choices and we can breathe when we pause. But rewind, it's history. We can learn from it. I don't like to live in regret.
All right, that's the last of our questions. So part 2 next week. Again, head over to journeywithcare.ca. Send in your questions because we need some.
We look forward to hearing from you. I hope you've had fun with us.
That, or you can have an episode of complete silence, and that would be, you can use it as reflective time. Hey, I also wanted to remind our listeners, actually, if you head to the website, you can get Journey with Prayer a few days early, the same time our episode releases. So if that's something that you want, head over to journeywithcare.ca, and that's a little bit of a benefit there. And we hope to have other stuff there as well. So see you then. Thank you for joining another conversation on Journey with Care, where we inspire curious Canadians on their path of faith and living life with purpose in community. Journey with Care is an initiative of CareImpact, a Canadian charity dedicated to connecting and equipping the whole church to journey well in community. You can visit their website at careimpact.ca or visit journeywithcare.ca to get more information on weekly episodes, Journey with Prayer, and details about our upcoming events and meetups. You can also leave us a message, share your thoughts, and connect with like-minded individuals who are on their own journeys of faith and purpose. Thank you for sharing this podcast and helping these stories reach the community. Together we can explore ways to journey in a good way. And always remember to stay curious.